Hey guys, it's Kyle, and I'm back for another, we'll say, installment of what it's like having solar panels in Michigan. And once again, I am out here in West Michigan where I live, and our solar panels are on our roof. And I'll go through this month's bill with Consumers Energy, which is October data, and what we'll call the November bill. So, for those who live in Michigan, you probably know that it's getting very cloudy and cold, and especially in West Michigan where you get more clouds than the east side of the state, the solar panels are definitely reflecting that, and I'll show you that in the in-phase data. All right, so I'll start this presentation with the same way I always do, with columns A and B, which is shows the date and then the amount of energy actually delivered in kilowatt hours. You can see the dates of the bill for consumers are 10/2 to 10/31, so I have that exact detail here, 10/2 to 10/31. We can scroll down and see the total is 180 kilowatt hours this month, and that is how much we generated. The amount of kilowatt hours that we actually sold back was 109. So if you do the math on that, it ends up being about 70 kilowatt hours that were actually being generated and used at the same time. So that makes a lot of sense because in this case, I'm using them and consumers doesn't have to keep them on their grid. So we shouldn't have to pay for that, which is why we're not. So it makes a lot of sense. So that's the first part. Second part is you can see the charges. So this month we were charged $43.36. Just to make it easy for comparison's sake, last year, this exact same time for November, the billing cycle was 30 days also, just like this one is. That was about $70, so $69.05. So you have $43 there. Decent amount of savings, but still not a huge difference for the fact that I have to pay $86 extra a month just to have the solar panels. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm still very happy with them, of course, but you definitely want to build those credits up in the summer months. That May, June is going to be your best performing time. Build up those credits so you can use them now. So since I got these solar panels not during May and June timeframe, I did not build up many credits. So the only credit I had left from the summer months was $1.33. So you can see I actually generated $10 worth of credits, not a lot. But then they gave me that extra $1.33, which ended up being $12.06 total credits applied. So now I have 0 credits remaining for the rest of the winter, which is not ideal, but next year will be way better. Also worth noting is I did generate 109 kilowatt hours, but the new rate of 10 cents is being given on the bill. That's what I'm being charged and given as credits for self-generated outflow. And that's because once you enter the fall, so I believe it's May through October, that's when you're going to have the 16 cents of on-peak percentage versus off-peak percentage, and that's between 2 and 7 p.m. as the on-peak. So now that we are in October, November timeframe, we no longer have the on-peak, off-peak rates. It's all just the flat rate of 10 cents. And that's what we'll notice on the electric charges section as well. So we have 266 kilowatt hours for the electric charges, and when you add back the amount that we actually used while producing of that 71, you get a total of 337 kilowatt hours that would have actually been billed without having solar panels. It took me a second to find it there. So we have the 337 is what we actually would have been billed. If you compare it to last month, we have the 347. So it's very comparable, very easy to see that, that's exactly what it is. Okay, so last thing worth noting here is our final breakdown of, is it worth having them so far and whatnot. And I do that in this last little section down here. So the easiest way to review all that is we take the in-phase data of the 180 kilowatt hours we have here, and then we have the self-generated outflow section on the bill, which once again is that 109. You do the math, so 180 minus 109 gives you the 71 kilowatt hours used while producing. Okay, and then once you have that, you take the total charged kilowatt hours, so that's how much we actually have to pay for using, so that's 266. and we add that 71, which was the amount we used while producing. That gets us to 337, like I've already said. And when you do the math on that, I have this nice chart up in the top right. So 337 is what we would have been billed with no solar panels. So I'll just show you guys that chart once again. So this is just a nice little way to show, wherever you're at. If you have 700 kilowatt hours, it kind of shows you how much you'd have to pay. But being at that 337, we're right around this range. So we'd be about $65. Go back down. And yeah, so I estimated at 66. So then we have the current bill, which is what I was actually charged for this month, of $43. Take the 66 minus the 43. Assume you have no loans on the solar panels, they're fully paid off. You end up with $22.64 saved since having the panels. That's obviously great. It's much lower than the September, August activity, which makes sense since we don't get a lot of sunlight at this time. And then when you add in the final part that I do have a loan for the solar panels, which is $86, you take the 86 minus the amount we saved, $22.64, we end up paying an extra $63.36 than we would have if we didn't have any solar panels. And, obviously that might not sound great to everybody, but like I said in the beginning, typically when you get solar panels, you're going to be generating most of your credits in that May and June, July timeframe. So we didn't do that at that time and didn't get all the credits racked up like we normally would in a year. So this is completely normal given the circumstances and should be a lot lower in the next November when we have more credits. So yeah, that's really the whole breakdown of this month. And it'll be very interesting to see what the rest of the months look like, especially in January, February, when we get very little sunlight, but we'll also be using very little electricity. So I'll continue to go through the months. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys listening this month. As always, feel free to email me, respond on here if you have any comments, questions, and I love hearing about people that are installing new systems themselves. So feel free to, to always let me know. And thanks for listening, guys. Have a good one.